أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله يا مظلوم يا شهيد كربلاء. Imam Rida alayhi salam and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, the sixth Imam, said, Rahimallahu man ahya amrana. They pray to Allah and make a dua that may Allah have mercy upon the one who revives our affair. Now, why is it important to do ahya and revive the affair of Al-Bayt alayhim as-salam? Not so long ago, around 1 week ago, I saw a video in Syria. Now, as many of you know, with the previous government or regime, whatever you want to call it in Syria, the Shia were able to practice their religion. The Christians, the Alawis, everyone was able to practice their religion. Now, we're not endorsing anyone saying, oh, I support this president, this person, this government. No. We know that people were free just like in the UK and other countries. They can have majalis, they can have a Hindu temple, they can have a church and so on. But with the current political events, what did we see? We saw this government collapse and come into the hands of people who are now so-called modern people. They wear a suit, you know, they're accepted by the US. However, the person who rules Syria now, he no longer has that $10 million bounty on his head. Before he was a terrorist, now he wears a suit, and now, okay, he's accepted. So what I saw 2 weeks ago were people, or a week ago, smashing up a tent, a khayma, that was made for Muharram. And they were smashing up the chairs of these people who had prepared for Muharram and to mourn and remember Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. So we see now with the current government, these people were suppressed by Bashar al-Assad, they couldn't come out. Now they openly say that we have taken Sayyida Zainab as our prisoner again. A'udhu billah. They went into her shrine, some of them, and they said, inshallah, we're going to destroy this place. So again, I'm not saying, okay, was I a big fan of Bashar al-Assad, but what we know is that people were free to practice their religion and such people were oppressed. So it boils down to one thing, that they want to erase Karbala again and the story of Muharram. But as I'll show tonight, I will show in the past people tried to do this and what their fate was. What did Allah Azza wa Jal do to such people that tried to stop the message of Karbala? All of you remember Saddam, La'natullah alayhi. What did he do? He attacked Karbala many years back, and they shot the names of the Imma alayhim as-salam. Later on, what was the fate of Saddam? Being found in a hole with, lice in his hair, humiliated from his palace. I went to his palace, by the way. I went to Babel recently in Shahr Ramadan. I was in Iraq. I visited the palace of Saddam. And mashallah, what a great palace it was. He even carved his face. Saddam put his face on the palace. And I never saw anywhere like that in my life. Yet look what Allah Azza wa Jal did to Saddam when he went against Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So we'll show this tonight. So again, Rahimallahu, the Imam says what? A prayer for invoking Allah's praise and mercy on someone. And this includes protection and guidance. Rahimallahu man ahya comes from ihya. So this shows a passive revival. Some historical events, they're just in the books. Leave it in the books, happened 1,000 years ago. But the Imam here is emphasizing on what? Continually reviving. Because if you do not continually revive, what happens? These people, they try to erase the message of Abu Abdullah. They smash up majalis or they prevent majalis. And alhamdulillah, we are here tonight. We are lucky that we can have a majlis. There are brothers in Malaysia, for example, which many people go on holiday, they say a nice modern country, they cannot have majalis. I knew one Malaysian brother in Taqiyya. He became Shia. He went to the Iranian embassy because, you know, they had Ziyarat Ashura, they had majalis. The authority said, you cannot let any Malaysian citizen in this majlis. So this brother tried so hard to go there, he was prevented. The Iranians at the embassy said, sorry brother, we're going to get in trouble, they'll stop all of it if we allow you to come. So just being able to have majlis is a blessing, and wherever we are, we have to try continue this. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. Now revival, why does someone do ahya? Or the ihya, because they have hub, they have love in their heart for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And from loyalty, the loyalty comes to the Imam from what? From your love for the Imam. But it is important for us, who do we have loyalty to in this life? That is what we are going to discuss today, the correct type of loyalty and the wrong type of loyalty. And why those people who had this wrong type of loyalty, what did they do? They ended up going against Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. So firstly, I'll discuss loyalty out of love. That if you have loyalty, it comes at a price. If you are with the zalimeen, the tyrants, tughat, you might have an easy life temporarily. But when you have true loyalty, some hardships will come. We'll examine that. Number two, the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam who chose sacrifice over the dunya. They didn't choose the dunya, they chose to sacrifice themselves. And subhanAllah, they're remembered today and praised, whereas people and tyrants, they are cursed. Third, how people had such loyalty to tyrants that they made fake hadith. They would write down hadiths and praise people like Muawiyah and other caliphs. So we'll discuss this as well. And four, we will see how these tyrants had such a hate for Imam Hussein alayhi salam that cutting his neck, it wasn't enough. They tried to also destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I'm going to speak about some stories that you find in Bihar al-Anwar and history about this. Don't just think it's Saddam, no. Before Saddam, they would try to destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. If they claimed to be Muslims and killed the Imam, why they wouldn't do that? When some people at my work, they ask me, why is there Muslim terrorists? I say, look, those people who killed Abu Abdullah, they said, we're Muslims. We pray, we have signs of sujood. Khawarij, who fought Imam Ali alayhi salam, they have big mark from the the turban on their heads. But all of this was worthless because they didn't have the wilayah of Al-Bayt alayhi salam. They showed bughd, they showed enmity. So we'll discuss these points and we will show how even miracles happened which prevented them from destroying the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So first, loyalty, a costly choice. That's what happens when you have wafa. I think it's the same in Arabic and Farsi, wafa. It comes at a price. Now Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he didn't say, you need to stay with me and all get martyred, become shaheed. He gave an option. John, for example, who knows John? Joan, the black slave who was freed and then he assisted Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He was one of the people that Abu Abdullah said, okay, you can go. And what did he say? So you can go in the night. He refused and he says, I seek Jannah, Behesht, paradise with you, Ya ibn Rasulullah. Do you think I would stay with you at this moment? So this loyalty came at a price. It led to, of course, the martyrdom of such people. But he says, do you think I would ever leave you? So this is one example of the good loyalty. And it shows us that some people, they chose loyalty for the sake of Allah, and others have loyalty for what? The tyrants, for the dunya. But it's not worth it, because anything you get, you become tired of it. For example, you buy a new car, you drive it a few times, you're very excited, it just becomes a car. So one brother I know before, he spent £400 on like a shirt, Gucci shirt. He wore it, he's very happy. And then after that, he's like, it's just like a normal t-shirt now, I don't care. So any dunya thing you get that high, and it becomes normal after that. Even you have a big house, after it becomes just normal, and then you say, okay, I want something bigger than that after that. So these people sold themselves for a cheap price. What's one of the ways that they did this? One of the ways was to fabricate a hadith. And mashallah, I just spoke to a brother here, Jordanian brother, he was telling me about some of his research in this. That you see some of the hadiths about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and you think this is so strange. Or you see hadiths about someone like Muawiyah. He fought Imam Ali alayhi salam. He got people to do seb, insulting, and curse Imam Ali, yet there's apparently praise of him. So Kitab Sulaim, does anyone know Kitab Sulaim here? Kitab Sulaim ibn Qais al-Hilali. This is the earliest Shia book, even before Al-Kafi. And it was written down and hidden by some of the Imams. Because Omar, the second caliph of them, he banned hadith for a while. He said, you're not allowed to write hadith. If you look in history, he banned it. Why? Some of the opposing sects say because it becomes mixed with Quran. Maybe people think hadith is Quran. If you believe the Quran is a mu'jiza from Allah, how the words of Allah become mixed with the words of man? They make excuses. The real reason for this was what? To hide the fada'il of Ali Muhammad alayhi salam salawat. So one example of these people that sold themselves and had loyalty to tyrants, what is one thing that they did because of this false, false loyalty? It says in Kitab Sulaim that they fabricated hadith about Uthman so much. So they made fake hadith about Uthman, that Muawiyah, who was telling them to do this, sent them gifts. He sent them gifts, garments, and gave them plenty of land. And he constructed big houses. So, okay, yeah, make these fake hadith about Uthman and all these other people so that people put down Imam Ali alayhi salam. وَلَا تُفَضِّلُوا أَحَدًا عَلَى النَّبِي. Sorry. No, that's the Prophet. Do not favor anyone over Ali alayhi salam. We have many hadiths around this context about do not favor anyone over Rasulullah. And then Imam Ali alayhi salam. That he is not a prophet, but he's like Harun was to Musa. So it says that they fabricated some of these hadiths, or many hadiths, and they were given big houses, and this became luxurious for them. There was no town who reported merits about Uthman, that his name was noted and he was recommended. So basically it was saying that they fabricated so many ahadith, and they received gifts because of this. So again, the wrong type of loyalty for what? Material, for mal, flus, pool. Okay, you give me all these temporary things, and I will fabricate a hadith. This was one way. They sold their religion for the world. And of course they thought that they would escape punishment because of this. So they would forge a hadith on the instructions of Muawiyah and make false merits about these people. But the Quran exposed some of these people and how they used to behave as well. Because while they were doing this type of stuff, like forging hadiths and lying about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they would also laugh at the believers. And when I say lie about the Prophet, let me give you one example. There's certain hadith that says the Prophet said basically that the hakim, the ruler, if he hits you, don't say anything against him, just obey him. You really think Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say this? Bukhari, the most authentic book for Ahlus Sunnah, says what? Yazid was legitimate caliph. Yazid was the right caliph, according to Omar's son, Abdullah bin Omar. And he says that the Prophet basically said this. The Prophet confirmed that someone has to give their bay'ah to a tyrant. So why were these things made? Because it justifies the tyrants of the time. If we have a hadith of the Prophet said, obey the ruler, then what about all the Arab leaders now that they're doing these corrupt things? They can be like, yeah, you cannot speak against the ruler. It's fitna. Even if he whips your back, if he takes your wife, no problem, don't speak against the ruler. And we have some Wahhabis, they have this mentality. They said strictly, do not criticize. So if these governments are helping Zionists or oppressors, don't say nothing against them. So Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا كَانُوا مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يَضْحَكُونَ فَالْيَوْمَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنَ الْكُفَّارِ يَضْحَكُونَ. Allah says, verily those who committed sins used to laugh at those who believed. So while they're fabricating getting money, they're laughing at the believers. But today those who believe will laugh at the disbelievers. So we realize that on Qiyamah, those who mock the mu'mineen and the believers and laughed at them in this world, the believers will laugh at them because they had loyalty to the wrong cause and they sold their dunya and their akhirah. And that is why the dunya, it corrupts one's soul. Now we're not extreme like some people, because there's some people that they go too extreme. They say that I'm just going to live on a mountain, I'm not going to have any material. No, we're saying Islam, you need to have money, you need to have material possessions. We could not make this majlis, for example, without money. But you see some Westerners, they're looking for haqq and truth. What do? They become like Hare Krishna. I don't know if you guys seen these. They say Hare Krishna, the type of Hindus. They shave their head and they give all their material possessions up. Or they go to India and they become a monk. Islam is more simple. We say Yekta Paras, we worship one God. We're muwahideen, right? We worship one God and we have a balance in life. But at the same time, we shouldn't become attached to these material things. And we should not let people bribe us. So the dunya, love of the dunya, it corrupts the soul. And those who betrayed Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they did this for what? Power, money, and influence. So when we found these fabricated hadiths, what did they do? They started to teach the children these hadiths about the caliphs. If you want to brainwash a child, what do? Do it from a young age, program them. Even unfortunately in the West, in the school today, they might teach some things we don't agree with. And you cannot do nothing about it. So you have to teach your kids, give them the tarbiyat before they go to school. I'm not saying everything in school they teach is bad. Yes, you can have homeschooling, but they miss out. They don't get some of the social skills, right? But you need to teach them before that. Because programming kids from a young age, they teach them to be slaves to the system sometimes. And to just be workers and not think for themselves. So we find that fabricated hadith, it says in Kitab Sulaim, they started teaching these fabricated hadiths to children. So some people say, okay, why should I bring my children to the majlis? They have school tomorrow. Even if the kids are just playing and they don't understand, they get that thaqafa, that farhang in their hearts of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They will remember this, and when they grow up, one sheikh was saying the other day, he remembers his father taking him to the majlis and he still remembers the name of Hussein alayhi salam. So to bring them even to a masjid, to environment, is very important, because that seed, it plants and it expands later on. So these people would teach fabricated hadiths to children, lies, and they give it to children and say, look, Muawiyah is the greatest, one of the greatest people. Uthman was a great person. All of these fabrications, because the fada'il of Amir al-Mu'mineen are so many to mention. You go to the books of the Shia and the Sunni, all fada'il of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Was it not Omar that said what? If it was not for Imam Ali, Omar what would have perished? So this is famous, and you can find it in both the books. So this is just some people who had disloyalty in their lives and chose the wrong type of loyalty. But now I want to talk about after Karbala. There's so many fada'il and merits of ziyarat to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. All of you should buy the book Kamil al-Ziyarat. It's in English as well, Arabic, I think maybe in Farsi, and it talks about so many hadiths of the merits of visiting Abu Abdullah. But we saw that killing Imam Hussein alayhi salam, slaughtering him, was not enough. They wanted to torment the Imam after his death. So you've slaughtered him, you've killed his children, you've taken the woman captives, you hit the woman, you've paraded them in front of men, a'udhu billah, but that was not enough. They still had to annoy Imam Hussein alayhi salam and try to wipe out his legacy. What did I say in Syria now? They're smashing up chairs in a tent. You think you're going to smash a few chairs is going to erase a message? No. They did worse than this, which we will show now. If we go Bihar al-Anwar by Alamatul Majlisi, again it's in English if anyone wants this with the Arabic, volume 45, chapter 50. It says, Bab Jawr al-Khulafa ala qabrihi al-Sharif. The tyranny of the caliphs, the khulafa, the fake khulafa, on the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And let me mention some incidents which happened in history, how they even tried to erase any memory of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Again, it connects back to what I said of Imam Rida, rahimallahu man ahya amrana. May Allah have mercy on the one who revives our affair. Let's see how they did this. So Mutawakkil, lanatullah alayhi, one of the Abbasid caliphs who was known for imprisoning Imam Hadi, Imam Askari alayhim as-salam, he ordered people to try destroy the grave of Abu Abdullah. There was one person called Ibrahim Dizij, I believe that's the name how you pronounce it according to the history, and he ordered him to plough the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and make animals walk over the grave and fill it up with water and try to take the body of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam out of this grave. And as we know, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he was cut to pieces, but they still want to disrespect him and the sanctity of the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we find that it was narrated. He says he came, Ibrahim told someone, he admits it. I came across with some people of my servants and slaves, and they tried to find and dig up the body of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They were not able to do that. But then it says according to this, and he admits this, we found eventually the body of Imam Hussein alayhi salam on some planks, possibly on some wood or something like this. And he says that a smell of musk, the best of smell, came from this after that. So as you know, in Islam, why do we bury the person deep? Because there's a hikmah behind that wisdom. The smell of the body decomposing is very bad, so we bury as deep as possible. But he says according to this, the smell of this musk came, this fresh type of perfume smell from the body of Abu Abdullah. He then says, I instructed pouring soil on it, sprinkled water upon it, and then I told cows to go across it. So the animals, I told them to run across and start digging up, violating the body of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And they went with axes and tools, but they could not do so. So what happened was, this was like a sign. See, these people, hayawanat, they're worse than animals. Even the animals, according to these people, and they admit it themselves. So we know they're telling the truth on this because they admitted these animals would not tread on the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So they brought some bulls, it didn't work. Another person, Abdullah bin Rabi, he says, I saw bulls being driven to the grave, and when they reached the site, they tried to put them over the grave, the spot where Imam Hussein alayhi salam was buried. Now take a note, these are maybe different incidents that happen in the same time period, but they tried many times possibly, according. So he says that, okay, let's hit the animals. Sometimes when you ride a horse animal to make it move, what do? You hit it. They tried to hit the bulls to go over the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It still didn't work after that. They said even the animals refused. And this is interesting because even scientifically when you look, some animals have loyalty as well. You see there are certain, someone has a dog for example, you can have a guard dog. Dogs have saved the life of their owner before. If some people have a certain type of dog and someone attacks you, we've seen videos where the dog will attack the person, it'll bite it in a fierce way. This shows that even animals have a certain amount of loyalty. And Allah Azza wa Jal wanted to show these people that, look, you may try to tell these animals to do this, but they won't do it. So it says that the animals would not go on the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So again, this guy Ibrahim Dizij, this other guy that comes with him, his name was Harun al-Mu'arri. He tried to also destroy it, and he admits here. He says that Mutawakkil sent us to dig up the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and flow water on it. Let's vandalize the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. When I determined upon going out and traveling to the area, I saw Rasulullah in a dream. Now dreams, sometimes Islamically you have a dream, you saw a dream. Sometimes it can be from Allah, sometimes, this is called Imam Sadiq, sometimes from shaitan, and sometimes you have a dream, it makes no sense, it's completely random, So this person, before doing that, he saw a dream from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is tawfiq from Allah. Even the biggest sinner sometimes, Allah tries to warn you not to do that thing. Let me give you an example. Let's say someone, he's going to do haram. He wants to go meet a woman, do zina, a'udhu billah. Maybe his car breaks down. There's certain people, they wanted to do haram, they were stopped. It's like Allah's giving you another chance not to do this haram. Stop and think about it. So this person here, he was ordered by Mutawakkil to go with Ibrahim to destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Rasulullah, he said he saw Rasulullah, and he said, do not go out with ad-dizaj, Ibrahim. And do not do what you are ordered to do regarding the grave of Hussein alayhi salam. So even if that comes at a price, do not blindly obey the rulers. Do not be like some Muslims now that they don't speak about the Palestinian issue. Why? Because they say that, oh, you know, our rulers say don't do that. Do not obey the rulers. Even if it comes at a price, sometimes it's better that you die a death with dignity than live a life with disgrace, as Imam Hussein alayhi salam said. So what did he do? Did he listen to Rasulullah? No. And he went to the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam to try and flood it. So this guy, again, his name was Harun. He went with Ibrahim. He went to flood the grave. He didn't listen to this sign. And then he saw another dream where Rasulullah spat in his face and smacked his face, and his face went blackened. And then they saw that this person became so ill that his face became physically black, and he passed away from the worst type of disease, where you would see pus coming out the face, blood. And this goes to show that, look, Saddam attacked the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Look what happened to him, humiliated. This person was given a warning in his dream, do not go to the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He went anyway and got the worst of disease. So it shows that if people do this and try to suppress the message of Abu Abdullah, their time is coming. People now say, why is Allah letting all this happen to Palestine? All these people get killed. There's a verse in the Quran which says, do not think that Allah is unaware of what these tyrants do. He's delaying them so that their punishment be even more severe. So this is what we saw this person did. What did he do? He didn't listen to the dream that he had, and he went along and did this. Because sometimes, many of us, we've had a dream where something actually happens or it was assigned to us. And then you take it istikhara, you know that this istikhara is correct. But he didn't take this, and he chose to obey a tyrant. There was another one, what happened, another incident where they told this Ibrahim person to also destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So Mutawakkil, he ordered some people, the villagers of Karbala, not to do ziyarah. And what did they say? We will continue ziyarah even if you kill us. Subhanallah. We see that for us now, alhamdulillah, it's easy ziyarah. You buy your ticket, you go to Heathrow Airport. Some of you have 5-star hotel. But back then it wasn't like this. People had to silently go to ziyarah. They had to secretly do it. They had to be in taqiyah. But when Mutawakkil ordered them, don't do ziyarah to Imam Hussein, these people, they didn't listen. They said, even if you kill us, we will not stop ziyarah. So what does it report here in Bihar al-Anwar? Ibrahim, this same guy. So again, I believe it could have been on the same day or different instances. It doesn't say exactly, but he says, shoot them. He says to his slaves, the arrows, shoot all of these people, kill them, so they cannot prevent us destroying the grave of Imam Hussein. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So it says that after that, these villagers, they went against them, and every time these person would shoot arrows, the arrows would come back and kill them one by one. So one of the guys ran back to Ibrahim. He's like, look, something is, he's shaking. He says, something here is not right. Every time we shoot arrows, the arrow comes back and kills one of our soldiers. So it says here that he had fever and chills, and the goosebumps seized me. He says, I departed in the grave at that time and settled and upon myself that Al-Mutawakkil, he's going to kill me now, because I did not go by that order. But every time they tried to go by that order, the arrows came back and killed all the people. So we recap here. We got 3 instances or 4. We show that these people that plotted against Imam Hussein, this Ibrahim guy, what? He went to flood it, take the body of Imam Hussein, ordered animals, the animals wouldn't walk over it. It later says that he died as well in the worst way. One of the doctors came and he was in the worst way. This Harun guy who assisted him, he saw the dream. Don't go there. Don't do that to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He did it and then he died in the worst way possible as well, with pus and blood coming out of his face and his face blackened in like what he saw in the dream. They even tried the physical means, as we said, shooting the arrows. The arrows came back and pierced their faces and killed them. And then Al-Mutawakkil, who ordered all of this, what happened to him? He was killed by one of his Turkish guards. And it was plotted by his brother as well. Because with these tyrants at the same time, what do we see that happens with them, these Zalimeen? Even their own brothers, they will kill them or their fathers and mothers just for power. If you don't respect Abu Abdullah, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, then how are you going to respect your family? If you have no fear of Allah Azza wa Jalla, how can you trust someone like that? So Mutawakkil himself ended up being killed by one of his own guards. And again, this is history testifies to this. We see it again and again. You're saying, okay, but this is all in history. Hadith, we saw it ourselves. Saddam attacked Imam Hussein alayhi salam grave. Look what happened to him. So the same with these people in Syria now that are destroying majalis. We just have to wait a little bit and we will see the results, that what happens to them. But look at the honor of Imam Hussein alayhi salam now, and Habib bin Mudahir and all of the Ashab and Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. Millions of people visit their graves and go to ziyarah. In fact, the biggest gathering in the world, which is underreported by the media, peaceful gathering, is Arba'een. I've had non-Muslim colleagues ask me about this. They say, what is all of this Arba'een and Muharram? We didn't hear it from Ahmed or the other Muslim colleagues. That's because this has been hidden from them, right? Look in Morocco on the day of Ashura, what do? They give halwa, baklava, they celebrate this to, soil over the message of Muhammad. Say, hide this. And they say, no, we do it because our hadith say it's the day of Musa alayhi salam fasting. No. You really think this hadith was correct? It's obvious that this hadith was fabricated, a lie to cover what happened up. So despite all of these attempts to block the message of Karbala, we see millions go, where you will see someone who doesn't even have legs struggle and walk to the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Hub, love, ishq, that cannot be understood except by those who understand the message of Karbala and appreciate the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But another question comes. Some people say, okay, why did they kill us Shia? Maybe they kill us because some people, they do fitna, they do lanat, you're causing problems for us because of politics. No. We have a hadith from Imam Hussein alayhi salam where he answered this. He clearly mentioned why some people kill the Shia, or he makes us ready for this. Because when we live in this country, we're free. But there's a lot of Shias now, the Shias in Syria, they're being persecuted. I saw something. We see the Shias in Afghanistan. Some people said, no, Taliban have changed. No. My friend whose wife is Hazara, from the Hazara Shias who have been killed so much, just because how they look, they're known that they're Shia and Hazara, they said that the Taliban have stopped people doing Muharram majalis. So this is not something new. Imam Hussein, he said in a hadith, he said, Wallah al-bala wal-faqru wal-qatlu asra'u ila man ahabbana min raqd al-baradhin. By Allah, so problems, afflictions, poverty, being poor, and being killed comes to those who love us. Man ahabbana, one who loves us, these things come to them faster than racing horses. What do I mean? Okay, even if you're not going to be killed for being Shia, in some places, if they know you're Shia, you won't get the job. Saudi Arabia, Qatif, we have many brothers, they are Shia. But what happens? They will not get a job sometimes because of them being Shia. And they have to hide it or pray that they are from Ahlul Sunnah. So poverty can be one of the things, staying on the path of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The second one is what? Afflictions, different problems, poverty, as we mentioned, and then killing. Many just for the reason of visiting Imam Hussein alayhi salam Karbala, they face persecution. Iraq, alhamdulillah, Iraq is more stable now. But when they first opened it up for ziyarah after fall of Saddam, they made a documentary as well on BBC. You saw suicide bombers going near the shrine. And they killed some Iranians, unfortunately. Inshallah, they're all shuhada. The same day after, 1 hour after that suicide bombing, everyone comes out again. They go to the shrine. Because killing cannot stop. But Imam Hussein alayhi salam, again, he says, by Allah, you're going to have problems. You're going to have poverty, or one of these things, or being killed for loving us. So he's telling you there, are you ready to do this? Are you ready to obey the Imam and not the tyrants who tried to cover his sacrifice in history? That is what we need to ask ourselves. And that's what we need to ask ourselves now with what's happening. If any of you know that singer, did any of you see the singer who did the concert that he spoke against the IDF and he said free Palestine? So now there's a big outcry saying that, okay, we're going to ban him. US revoked his visa. Agency revoked his contract. Now all the media are attacking him because all he did was express something. He didn't say violence against people. He condemned army who have killed, according to UN and many statistics, over 17,000 children. You see, they're boycotting him. So even in other walks of life, you speak against oppression, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your money. But you see in the crowd the amount of people that supported him. And he probably knew this. If I speak about the Palestine issue, let me just do my concert, my music, get my money and go to America. No, he spoke out about this and they asked him, oh, do you regret doing that? He said, no, it's important to teach your kids that you stand against injustice that we're doing now. And that's why Imam Rida alayhi salam said, we need to revive such an affair. So if we go on, we saw tonight, let me recap the points. I don't want to make it too long for all of us. We saw tonight what true loyalty looks like, the companions of Imam Hussein, John. You can go. Some of these companions, you can go in the middle of the night, that's fine. No, I would never leave you, Ya Aba Abdullah, they stayed. We saw what false loyalty looks like to the tyrants. The people who sold their religion to the tyrants, who made fake hadiths to the tyrants, and who attacked the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But did that delete the name of Imam Hussein, erase it? Abadan, never. Because of these things, it only strengthened the message of Karbala. And we saw that the real sacrifice, real truth cannot be buried. Because every ziyarah and in every tear, and even going to a majlis as well, or going to the ziyarah, or just reviving or making lectures about Imam Hussein or videos or posting, all has a contribution to the preservation of Karbala. But we see that those who love the dunya, they will hate, and they love the tyrants, they'll hate the message of Imam Hussein. Why some governments now, like in Kuwait, they're saying for majalis, you need to sign up and register it. Because these Arab leaders know, and these corrupt leaders, that Imam Hussein alayhi salam's message is within the heart of the Shias. They don't fear anything. Even about the Iran situation, they attacked Iran. My family's area got attacked. On Piers Morgan, he was saying, what is it about Shia theology, aqa'id, which you think won't deter the Iranians from being strong and accepting what happens and fighting? And they mentioned about the story of Muharram. So this is an admission even of non-Muslims, that Shia Muslims have this ideology that they never surrender to tyranny. So those who love the dunya, they will always hate the message of Imam Hussein. And you might ask how deep their hatred was. How far did it go? Tonight we remember Ali Asghar, Abdullah Radi, as they say in Arabic, that these people's hatred was not just for the grave of Imam Hussein after that, or for killing him, even for the seed of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, which was his children. It reached the place where even an infant was not spared. And in many of the historical reports, it mentions this, whether in Shia or Sunni historical reports, it mentions this. Ali Asghar, as we know, he was 6 months old. He had no sword, no sin, no shield. By the time the sun was high in the sky, over 70 noble souls had been martyred, each one giving their life for truth, for the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They had fought through the first heat and pain, and the fear of what would happen to the women and the children remained in their hearts. And only Imam Hussein alayhi salam remained alone, wounded and heartbroken. He had buried his sons, brothers, companions, even his nephew Qasim. Every tent now echoed with the cries of the orphans and the widows. Suddenly Hussein heard a sound that pierced his heart more than any sword could. The sound of a baby crying was heard by everyone and heard by Imam Hussein alayhi salam, which was his son called Ali Asghar, who was only 6 months old. His lips were dry and his face was pale and he was crying from thirst. Imam Hussein looked at his baby and held him close and kissed him. He then walked out to the battlefield, not to fight, but just asked for simple water for Ali Asghar, who he held in his arms, and said, "If I am the one who you hold a grudge against, if you hate me, then what crime has this child committed? Just give some water to this child, one drop of water." The enemy paused in silence for a while, and some wept, knowing that this is in their nature, that this is not right. Even the horses turned their face away. But then Umar ibn Sa'd looked at his archer and said, "Cut off Hussein's final hope." That man was Harmala, la'natullah alayhi. He plunged and took out an arrow and plunged that arrow that was used for animals and pulled the bow. He aimed it not at the soldier but at the neck of Ali Asghar. A 6-month-old baby had the arrow which pierced his neck where blood came out. Ya Hussein, the arrow flew and it pierced the throat of Ali al-Asghar, who was slaughtered in his father's arms. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he stood still. He didn't speak, and then he looked at the sky and said, "Oh Allah, do not let this be insignificant in your eyes, Ya Allah." Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he then filled his hands with blood of his son and threw it toward the sky. Not a single drop came down, and then Hussein walked back to the tents. But what could he say to the mother? How do you return a child like this? The Imam stopped behind the tents, and then he dug a small grave, and with his own hands he buried Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Assalamu ala al-Husayn Hama wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn وعلى أصحاب الحسين عليه السلام. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. صلوات الله على محمد. ببخشید، همه این سخنرانی رو فهمیدن یا خلاصه میخوان تو زبان فارسی؟ همه فهمیدن؟
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I invite our children to come together and review the story of Ali Asghar. Tonight is the night of Ali Asghar, the little warrior, the little soldier, the youngest martyr. He was only 6 months old. Ashura came to the land of Karbala. One by one, Hussein's friends and companions were martyred. Aoun, Muhammad, Qasim, Abbas, Ali Akbar. They all went to the battlefield and they were all martyred. By the evening, Hussein was left alone. The time had come for Hussein to go to the battlefield. Hussein said, Fi amanillah, which means goodbye, to everyone. Hussein, with his sword on his weight, mounted Zuljanah, his horse. Hussein rode his horse to small mound. Then he called out loudly, "Is there anyone to help me? Is there anyone to help the grandson of the Prophet?" With this call, the grandson of Holy Prophet was giving one last chance to Yazid's men, the man who called themselves Muslims, the followers of the Holy Prophet. Hypocrites. That's what Yazid's men were. No one answered Hussein, but Hussein heard the sound of crying coming from his own camp. Hussein turned around and returned to his tents. Zainab, your brother is still alive. Why are you crying? My brother Hussein, when you called out, is there anyone to help me? Al-Yasqar fell from his cradle. Hussein knew what Al-Yasqar was trying to say. Hussein went to Al-Yasqar's mom, Rubab, who was holding her on her lap. He was crying and Rubab was trying to comfort him. Hussein picked the baby up and whispered in his ear, Al-Yasqar, stop crying. Al-Yasqar stopped crying. He looked up to his father and smiled. Rubab, I'm taking Al-Yasqar to the battlefield with me so I can get some water for him. Rubab changed Al-Yasqar's clothes. Imam Hussein carried Al-Yasqar to the battlefield. It was very hot. Al-Yasqar was thirsty. Hussein covered baby Al-Yasqar with his gown, with his abba, to protect him from the scorching sun. Yazid's man saw Hussein approaching with something in his hand. Look, Hussein is coming with Quran maybe. He has no one left to help him. With the help of Quran, he's trying to win. Hussein walked to Yazid's soldier. By moving his abba, his gown, he uncovered Al-Yasqar. He held Al-Yasqar high with his both hands and said, "O soldiers of Yazid, you feel I have offended you? But what has this little child done to you? His mother's milk has dried up. He hasn't had a drop of water for 3 days. He's dying of thirst. I beg you to give him some water." No one from Yazid's army brought any water to Al-Yasqar. Once more Imam Hussein begged, "Maybe you think that when you bring water for him, I will drink it too. I will put this little child on the ground. You can come and give him water yourself." Hussein placed Al-Yasqar on the burning sand of Karbala. Al-Yasqar lay quietly on the hot sand of Karbala. He then turned his head and stared at Yazid's man. No water came for Al-Yasqar. Hussein picked Al-Yasqar and said, "My son, Al-Yasqar, my darling, you're too young to fight with a sword or spear. My little warrior, my little soldier, you're the grandson of Ali. Fight your battle with your tongue." Little Al-Yasqar stuck his dry tongue out and moved it over his dry lips. Looking toward Yazid's man, he fought his battle with his tongue. The little soldier shot an arrow, which was his dry tongue. It hit the heart of Yazid's soldier, who had children of their own. They became restless. Some started crying. They spoke among themselves, "Hussein is saying the truth. What has this child done to us? Why is he punished like this? Let us give him some water." Omar Saad got worried that his soldiers will turn against him. The little soldier's fight was very effective. Little Ali was fighting the battle his way. Umar ibn Saad ordered his best archer, Harmaleh, and told him, "What are you waiting for? Silence the little child. Don't you know he is a grandson of Ali? Hurry, shoot your arrow before it's too late." Harmaleh aimed an arrow to Ali's throat. Small arrow for a little child? No, an arrow not with one head, not with two heads, but with 3 sharp heads. Why? Why an arrow with 3 heads for such a small child? An arrow with 3 sharp heads flew across the desert of Karbala. It was heading for Ali Asghar's head. Hussein saw the arrow coming. He tried to cover Ali, but arrow reached Ali and lodged in the tiny neck of Ali Asghar. Ali Asghar died instantly. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Poor Hussein, the poor father who came to get water for his little child. Instead of water, Ali Asghar got an arrow in his neck. What shall Hussein do now? What shall Hussein do now? Hussein gently pulled the arrow from Ali Asghar's tiny neck. My fellow Husseini, put your hand on your heart and imagine the scene, a father removing an arrow from his child's neck. What a tragic scene. Blood gushed from Ali's neck. A voice came from the ground. No, Hussein, do not let Ali's blood fall on the ground. Otherwise, no crops will ever grow from this earth. Hussein looked up at the sky. A voice came from the sky. No, Hussein, do not let the blood gush toward the sky. Otherwise, no drop of rain will ever fall from the sky. What shall Hussein do? What shall Hussein do? The sky is refusing. The earth is not happy to accept Ali's blood. Poor Hussein. Poor Hussein wiped Ali Asghar blood on his face. Hussein started walking toward his tent. He saw Ali Asghar's mother, Rubab, standing by his tent, a mother anxiously waiting for her baby. 7 times Hussein went forward and then turned back, saying, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are from God, and to Him we return. He finally reached the tent where Rubab was standing. She came. She told Rubab, come and take your Ali Asghar. Your little soldier has died for the sake of Allah. Rubab took her little child Ali Asghar. She hugged him and cried her heart out. Come with me, Rubab. Enough, Rubab. Let us bury our son. Hussein and Rubab walked to the back of the tent. Hussein dug a small grave with his sword, and Rubab placed Ali Asghar in the small grave. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are from Allah, and to Him we return.
صلوات دیگری رو بفرستی. اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرج. امشب شب علی اصغر است. امشب شب علی اصغر است. یا امام زمان خودت کمک کن. چه بگویم که او خود روزه مجسم است. طفلی که در گلوی بریدش راز آتش گواه مکرم است. السلام علیک یا علی اصغر، ای دلیل مظلومیت حسین. شعر کوتاهی رو میخونم از استاد سید محمد میر هاشمی. I'm going to reciting the poetry, taking your time for 5 and 7 minutes in Farsi, inshallah. یا سحرم ز شاخ جدا از سه شعبه شد. یا سحرم ز شاخ جدا از سه شعبه شد، کوچکترین شهید فدا از سه شعبه شد. بین گلو و تیر که سنخیتی نیست، بین گلو تیر سه شعبه سنخیتی نیست. تک خال عشق بود و دوتا از سه شعبه شد. 6 ماه او تمام شد و در منای عشق قربان سید الشهدا از سه شعبه شد. وقتی پدر ز حنجر او تیر را کشید، زد دست و پا به خون و رها از سه شعبه شد. در پاسخ به شادی شرم آور عدو، در خیمه های تشنه عزا از سه شعبه شد. وقتی داشتم این قسمت رو میخوندم، یاد اتفاقات اخیر افتادم در فلسطین، در ایران. هفته پیش که با برادر صحبت می کردم با اخوی، این بمبارانی که اتفاق افتاده بود در ایران، یه قسمتی از بمب خورده بود به منزل برادر اخوی. دختری دارند حدود 1 سال و 6 ماه. وقتی این بمب خورد، برادر میگفت تا 1 هفته تن و بدن دختر میلرزید. قطعا این فیلم هایی که از فلسطین و از لبنان و اینها هست رو دیدید. فرزندانی هستند، بچه های کوچیکی هستند که تن و بدنشون میلرزید. انگار کربلا دوباره زنده شده است، انگار کربلا دوباره زنده شده است. شهید مطهری در کتاب حماسه حسینی جلد اول صفحه 168 می‌فرمایند والله والله مسئله روز فعلی اسلام فلسطین است. کل یوم عاشورا و کل ارض کربلا. در پاسخ به شانی شرم‌آور عدو در خیمه های تشنه عزا از شعبه شد. دیدی دلا به محشر کبرای کربلا، دیدی دلا به محشر کبرای کربلا، شور قیامتی که به پا از سه شعبه شد. بیت آخر رو هم بخونم. آنجا که کاخ صبر و امیدش خراب شد، یازده غم خانه رباب بنا از شعبه شد. لالا بخواب ای طفلت شان حرم، لالا بخواب ای تشنه لب نور حرم.
لا 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 لا. میخوای هم نوایی کنی یا نه؟ شب حضرت علی اصغر دیگه روزه نمیخواد. لا 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 لا. میگی با من لا 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 لا. بخواب گل نازم که تو خیمه شده ماتم، عمو رفته برای آب، نکن گریه نشو بی‌تاب. لا 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 لا. همه بگن لا 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 لا. هر کاری میکردن ساکت نمیشد، بگردید تو خیمه شاید یه قطره آب پیدا بشه. ببین بابا تک و تنهاست که یار و یاورش زهراست. چه خبره تو خیمه ها؟ شاید رقیه پیش گهواره است. خواهر کوچیکتره دیگه، دیدید خواهرها چجوریه؟ رقیه پیش گهوار است، با گریه در پی چار است. چه کار کنم برا برادرم؟ لا 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 لا. برای تو مسیحای قشنگم، همین دنیا همین گهواره تنگ است. بیا و آخرین سرباز من باش، بیا جنگیدن ما هم قشنگ است. میخواهم امروز تو را دست بگیرم، میخواهم این دنیا قربت ما رو ببینه. حسین جان شب باب الهوایج ها کیا حاجت دارد؟ آمدم خیمه تا ودا کنم، دیدم از داغ آب می سوزی. زبون حال ابی عبدالله چیه؟ بردم آبت دهم، دیدم زیر این آفتاب می سوزی. کاش آب می شد مهیا، تا خجل از روی خواهرت نشوم. سعی کردم که وقت مردن تو چشم در چشم مادرت نشوم. دیدید بچه رو چجوری بغل میکنن وقتی بچه کوچیک رو بغل میگیری؟ پشت سرت را نگاه کن پسرم، بغل ابی عبدالله دیگه. پشت سرت را نگاه کن پسرم، جلو خیمه ها رو باب نشسته، به امیدی که خیمه برگردی آمد و زیر آفتاب نشسته. من که طاقت ندارم ای گل من، که نگاهی کنم به پشت سرم، لیک حس می کنم که آمده اند جلوی خیمه ها زنان حرم. حسین 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 جان، حسین حسین. الله اکبر. وقتی می آمدیم خواهر تو با نگاهش مرا معذب کرد، تا تو برگردی و بخوابی باز عمه گهواره را مرتب کرد. حالا وقت نالسا بچه رو دست ابی عبدالله، عمر سعد گفت بزن هرمله، نانجیب گفت پدرو بزنم یا پسرو، مگه سفیدی گلوی علی رو نمیبینی؟ الله اکبر. یه وقتی علی اصغر که توان نداشت دیگه، یه وقتی علی اصغر داره رو دست تکان میخوره. من میگم سند قربت ابا عبدالله همین بس. وقتی تیر به حلقوم اصغرش زدن، دوست و دشمن گریه کردن. تو بگو من چطور پاسخ این یک حرم استراب را بدهم؟ عمه با من علی بگو چطور من جواب رباب را بدهم؟ ناله زدن امشب به خدا خیلی خریدار داره ها. این گلو مثل ساقه گل بود. ابا عبدالله یه سوال براش پیش اومد. این گلو مثل ساقه گل بود، قطع کردن تبر نیاز نداشت. کسی نپرسید هرمل این طفل به سه شعبه نیاز نداشت. حسین هر جا نشستی ناله بزن. حسین حسین. خدا هیچ مردی رو بلا تکلیف نکنه ها. دیدن ابا عبدالله چند قدم هی میره جلو، هی بر میگرده. من نمیدونم، شاید میگفته خدا برم سمت خیمه، نرم. گفت هر مله نانجیب جایی بود دلت بسوزه یا نه؟ گفت اون جایی که تیر حلقه اصغرش را هدف گرفت. دیدم ابا عبدالله 6 ماه رو زیر ابا پنهان کرد. هی چند قدم میره جلو، هی بر میگرده. سعی دارد کودکش را در ابا پنهان کند. باید تن را جدا سر را جدا پنهان کند. همه دیدن مشتی از خون علی را ریخت سمت آسمان، خواست تا جرم زمین را در هوا پنهان کند. دیدن آقای من و شما رفته پشت خیمه ها. آخه 6 ماه کوچیکه دیگه، با این غلاف شمشیرش داره زمین رو میکنه. قبر کوچولو برای علی اصغرش. با غلاف خنجری بابا پسر را دفن کرد. کربلا را خواست در کرب و بلا پنهان کند. حسین حسین حسین. یا صار الله ابا عبدالله. قربون قدماتون بیاد جلوتر. ابا عبدالله یا صار الله ابا. ها ماشاءالله همه بگن ابا یا صار الله یا صار الله ابا عبدالله. شب باب الحوائج ها، برآوردی حاجات. ابا عبدالله دست و پا نزن جلو چشم مادر. دست و پا نزن جلو چشم مادر. دست و پا نزن گل یاس پرپر. دست و پا نزن به جون رقیه. میکشیم تا آخر، میکشیم تا آخر. دست و پا نزن جلو چشم مادر. دست و پا نزن گل یاس پرپر. دست و پا نزن به جون رقیه. میکشیم تا آخر، میکشیم تا آخر. تو چشای من موجی از غم و موجی از سرابه. تو چشای من موجی از غم و موجی از سرابه. رو لبات ترک خورده و صدات بیقرار آبه. سینه و گریه ها اینا روزه است. یک طرف تنت یک طرف سرت هر مله میخنده. یک طرف تنت یک طرف سرت هر مله میخنده. تو گوشت هنوز لالایی های خسته ربابه. تو گوشت هنوز لالایی های خسته ربابه. بخواب بخواب گل مادر لالا لالا علی اصغر. بخواب بخواب گل مادر لالا. چشم باز تو دلمو سوزونده. روی حنجرت سه شبه نشونده. ای بهشت من دیگه چیزی باقی از گلوت نمونده. اصغرم ببین قصه ها منو رو خاکا نشونده. اصغرم ببین قصه ها منو رو خاکا نشونده. حق حق صدات مادرت رو از خیمه ها کشونده. میکنم یه قبر کوچیک برات ای عزیز بابا. میکنم یه قبر کوچیک برات ای عزیز بابا. خون حنجرت رو ملک به عرش خدا رسونده. خون حنجرت رو ملک به عرش خدا رسونده. بخواب بخواب گل مادر لالا لالا. اصغر بخواب بخواب گل مادر لالا لالا. به ابی انت و امی یا حسین. 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 همه بگن به ابی انت و امی یا حسین. ای شهید سرجدا یا لیتنا کنا معک. ای شهید سرجدا کشته ی راه خدا یا لیتنا. ای به موج خون زده در پیش چشم فاطمه. ای به موج خون زده در پیش چشم فاطمه. زیر خنجر دست و پا یا لیتنا کنا معک. ای شهید سرجدا کشته ی راه خدا. آب مهر فاطمه فرزند او را تشنه لب. سر بریدند از قفا یا لیتنا. میهمان اهل کوفه بودی و سنگت زدن در زمین کربلا یا لیتنا. میرسد از قتلگاه حتی قیامت بر سرم، ناله با قربتا یا لیتنا کنا معک یا لیتنا کنا معک یا لیتنا کنا معک یا لیتنا کنا معک یا لیتنا.
یه دو دقیقه با هم بریم انشالله. طفل چون نامش علی شد اصغرش هم اکبر است. خوب گوش کن. طفل چون نامش علی شد اصغرش هم اکبر است. در شجاعت حیدر است، در شجاعت حیدر است. بیت دوم. گرچه باشد شیر خوار شیر مرد لشکر است. گرچه باشد شیر خوار شیر مرد لشکر است. در شجاعت حیدر است، در شجاعت حیدر است. طفل چون نامش علی شد اصغرش هم اکبر است. طفل چون نامش علی شد اصغرش هم اکبر است. در شجاعت حیدر است، در شجاعت حیدر است. طفل چون نامش علی شد اصغرش هم اکبر است. در شجاعت حیدر است. گرچه باشد شیر خوار شیر مرد لشکر است. گرچه باشد شیر خوار شیر مرد لشکر است. در شجاعت حیدر است. طفل چون نامش علی شد اصغرش هم اکبر است. طفل چون نامش علی شد اصغرش هم اکبر است. در شجاعت حیدر است. گرچه باشد شیر خوار شیر مرد لشکر است. گرچه باشد شیر خوار شیر مرد لشکر است. در شجاعت
حیدر است. اللهم اجل ولیک الفرج. خدایا فرج امام زمانمون رو برسون. خدایا این قلیل توسلات و احسن وجه از ما قبول بفرما. خدایا از نسل و ذریه ما گریه کن و محب اهل بیت قرار بده. خدایا این قلیل توسلات ذخیره قبر و قیامت ما قرار بده. خدایا لحظه های آخر عمر ما لحظه های تشریف فرمایی آقا امام رضا قرار بده. خدایا آنچه گفتیم و نگفتیم و بدان محتاجیم از خزانه لطف و کرمت به ما عنایت بفرما. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أسألكم جميعا للدعاء لوالدي. أعتقد بأنه مصاب